The War is Over, the Stonehouse Series, Chapter 24. With her left hand resting on her kitchen windowsill, and her right hand holding tightly to a leather pull cord, Martha held the single window shutter slightly open, peeking out at a cold, drizzling rain. It would have been a horrible day for travel. Satisfied she had no reason to be outside or working, Martha pulled and tied the window closed against early nighttime coldness. I would feel sorry for even a goat to be out in such miserable, drippy weather. Her ears registered a sound before her mind could identify its source. What's that? Wet sandal leather pressing down and turning slightly on wet stone covered with a thin sand and gravel topcoat. Some persons walking up our steps in this weather. She started moving towards their western door, only slightly before a feeble knock sounded on its vertical boards. Who would be out in this ugly stuff? She pulled the latch and peered outside. "Benjamin!" Martha exclaimed, gawking at Ben's icy-looking, raw, red face and hands. Cold water was dripping off his chin and running down his neck. "What are you doing? Come inside before you are frozen stiff like winter laundry. You are soaked to the bone." "Lazarus! Take him to your room and get him some dry clothes. I'll build up the fire." Her brother was already tugging Ben's wet clothes off and pulling him towards his bedroom door. Jesus caught hold of Ben's other arm, keeping him from falling. "Then get him right back out here. He can stand on the warm rocks by the fireplace, and we'll cook the ice out of his bones." Martha grabbed small kindling sticks that would burn both fast and hot and threw them on the bed of coals, where they quickly burst into flame. She added some bigger blocks of wood and backed away from the heat. 1, maybe 2 minutes passed before they emerged with Ben in a dry cotton robe, with Laz half carrying him to the fireplace. His teeth had started to chatter. Spasms of shivering convulsed the runner's body. Jesus and Lazarus held their friend near the fire's heat. Mary ran to her room and returned with her best woolen blanket, one she had received as a gift from Ben the year before. She draped it over his shoulders and pulled a chair to the front of the fireplace. A minute later, Ben melted into it, and the shivering had stopped. With a ladle, Martha dipped hot chicken broth from a kettle hung above the fire. It contained their evening meal, and when the heat penetrated out through the mug, she placed it in Ben's hands. "Ben," Mary questioned, "what were you doing out in this weather? You're not wet from walking here from your home across town. You must have been out there for hours. What were you thinking? Are you trying to freeze to death?" "Yes, yesterday, after Lazarus came out of the tomb, Janus and Jambres, they're not good men. They left for Jerusalem right after we unwrapped your brother." Lazarus was remembering. "Your face, it was the first I saw. You lifted the cover off my head the first few moments after I got back. Well, they're a little fuzzy, but I remember seeing your face. But I don't remember seeing you after. Not until now." Mary thought out loud. "I looked for you later. I wanted to thank you, Ben, but I couldn't find you. Why did you leave so soon?" The skin of Benjamin's face had transitioned from cold red to hot red. Soon he would have to back up his chair a bit when the fire's warmth penetrated a little deeper. His muscles were starting to relax. Well, I managed to overhear those two with their handlers, the chief priests, in Jerusalem. It's not good, Jesus. Ben paused. His face pointed at the floor. Martha questioned, "What's not good? Out with it, Benjamin. What are those people up to?" For some time, Martha had refused to call those people by their highly prized titles because their reputation walked before them. Looking up into Jesus' eyes, Ben continued, "They put the word out this afternoon. They marked you, Jesus. Their plan is to kill you." Martha exclaimed, "What? Have they gone mad?" "They have done some bad stuff before, but this is insane. They could never get away with this. We must stop them." Jesus spoke gently, "Martha, they cannot take me before my time. And, well, have you forgotten your promise to me?" Martha stopped and bit her bottom lip as tears formed and threatened to spill from her eyes. She shook her head. "No, I haven't forgotten. It will happen, but my Father's timetable and plan, not theirs." Ben looked back and forth between the only family he knew. "What are you saying, Jesus? You're not serious, are you?" Mary reached out and put her hand on Ben's arm. "It's okay, Ben. There are things coming that will hurt a lot, but only for a little while. It will be like Lazarus coming out of the grave, but someday Lazarus will die again. When Jesus comes out of the grave, he will be alive forevermore. And when he finishes what he's going to do, he will be my brother." Ben looked like a chicken staring at a new chicken coop. He didn't know if he wanted to go in there or not. "Mary, what are you talking about? The chief priests have marked Jesus for death. But you think it's okay because he's going to be your brother? Are you all there or what?" Martha answered, "Benjamin, Jesus is indeed the Messiah, like we talked about. But the plan is bigger than we ever imagined, much bigger." Martha brought another chair over and set it next to Benjamin's. "Mary, why don't you sit down? Take your time and explain some of this to Ben while we get supper on the table, okay?" Mary settled into her chair and started recounting from the time Ben left to follow Janice and Jambry. Jesus set bowls on a small table in front of Ben and Mary and others on the big table for the rest of them. Lazarus snatched up the soup kettle, and Martha brought out more small loaves of bread and honey.